Looking back, many 90s celebrity icons saw their popularity fade in the 2000s, so much so that when they died, their passing went largely unnoticed. Let's give them their flowers. Everybody Loves Raymond aired for 9 seasons between 1996 and 2005. The show was about the Barone family, Raymond and Deborah, their daughter, and their twin boys, Jeffrey and Michael. The roles of Jeffrey and Michael were played by twin brothers Sawyer and Sullivan Sweeten, while their sister Madeline Sweeten played their on-screen sibling Allie. After Everybody Loves Raymond went off the air, Sawyer decided to take a break from acting, but that break became permanent. Sawyer died by suicide in 2015. He was 19 years old. The news shocked the entertainment industry, especially as Everybody Loves Raymond co-stars. Ray Romano released a heartfelt statement to People saying, "I am shocked and terribly saddened by the news about Sawyer. He was a wonderful and sweet kid to be around, just a great energy whenever he was there. My heart breaks for him, his family, and his friends during this very difficult time." Lee Thompson Young's big break came when he played teenager Jet Jackson in the Disney show The Famous Jet Jackson. The series ran from 1998 to 2001, earning Young a sizable fan base. And when the show went off the air, he continued to work in films like Friday Night Lights and The Hills Have Eyes 2. Young's TV career continued to flourish as well. He played Victor Stone in Smallville and made guest appearances in shows like Scrubs and Flash Forward. In 2010, Young was cast in the recurring role of Detective Barry Frost in the crime drama Rizzoli and Isles. But in 2013, Young died by suicide at the age of 29. After his death, the Disney Channel released a statement reading, "Nothing any of us can say will adequately express our sadness over Lee's untimely passing. Our thoughts are with his loved ones and the many fans of his work." Some might call Pete Postlethwaite a late bloomer. He'd been acting since the 70s, earning critical acclaim, but he only achieved mainstream fame in the 90s. By that time, he was in everything, from Alien 3 to The Last of the Mohicans, The Usual Suspects, Dragonheart, and The Lost World Jurassic Park. Postlethwaite continued to act in the new millennium, popping up in even more blockbusters such as The Omen, Inception, and The Town. But in 2011, Postlethwaite died of cancer. He was 64 years old. Former co-star Daniel Day-Lewis paid tribute to him, saying, "As students, it was him we went to see on stage time and time again. It was him we wanted to be like, wild and true, lion-hearted, unself-conscious, and deliciously irreverent. He was on our side. He watched out for us. We loved him and followed him like happy children, never a breath away from laughter." Mention the name Blind Melon to anyone who was around in the 90s, and they'll likely think of one song, 1992's No Rain, off the group's debut album. If you're wondering where the band disappeared to, well, Blind Melon recorded a second album, Soup, and headed out on tour when tragedy struck. In 1995, lead singer Shannon Hoon went to sleep on the band's tour bus. According to a police spokesperson, a member of the sound crew tried to wake him up and found him unresponsive and called for help. He was pronounced dead on the scene.
His heart couldn't take it anymore. He had just run his body down, and they found him there in his bunk.
The cause of death was determined to be a cocaine overdose. Hoon was 28 years old. Speaking about the tragedy years later, Blind Melon insisted that Hoon was making positive strides in his sobriety, especially after the birth of his daughter. Guitarist Roger Stevens told the Spokesman Review, "He wanted to go on tour and he felt like he was ready. This was not a pressure situation. I think that Shannon was healthier when he was out playing and singing every night and getting his emotions out on stage." Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was a global sensation in the 90s, and a big reason for the show's appeal was Jason David Frank's Tommy Oliver, the original Green Ranger who summoned his Dragon Zord with the Dragon Dagger. Tommy was only meant to appear in the show's first season, but he was so popular that they brought him back, and he ended up leading the team as the White Ranger. Frank appeared in other shows and films, but he became synonymous with the Power Rangers franchise, often reprising his role as Tommy throughout the decades and appearing at fan conventions. Frank was also a martial artist who trained under various masters and even developed his own fighting style. In 2022, Frank died by suicide. He was 49 years old. In an interview with People, Frank's widow, Tammy, expressed her appreciation to her late husband's fans, saying, "To all the fans and supporters of Jason and our family, thank you for your kind words and wishes, and God bless you all." One of the performers who lit up the mid-90s was Scatman John, who seemingly exploded out of nowhere with his mashup of scat singing and dance beats. It sounds like it shouldn't work, but it really, really did. And no matter where you went, you couldn't escape his two most notable tracks, Scatman Ski-Ba-Bop, Ba-Dop Bop, and Scatman's World. Scatman John's 1995 album Scatman's World was released at the peak of his popularity.
I'm a jazz player, but now I've all of a sudden turned into a rap singer, and I'm having a ball.
Scatman John was born John Larkin and was 50 before he finally hit the airwaves. He often talked about how he used music to deal with his lifelong stutter, insisting he became famous because of it, not in spite of it. Sadly, the Scatman's success was short-lived. He died of lung cancer in 1999. He was 57 years old. Pro wrestler Chris Candido is best remembered for his stints in the then WWF and ECW back in the 1990s. In the WWF, he wrestled under the name Skip and as one half of the Body Donnas tag team. In ECW, Candido competed under his real name and adopted the "No Gimmicks Needed" mantra, something that fellow wrestler CM Punk tattooed on himself as a tribute to Candido. He was widely regarded as a talented wrestler, but Candido didn't live long enough to cement himself as a bona fide superstar. He died at the age of 33 in 2005. Candido had been working for TNA Wrestling when he suffered an injury during a match. He underwent surgery to repair damage to his ankle, but he rushed back just one day later to manage from a wheelchair. In the end, it was his love for pro wrestling that led to his death. Candido's brother Johnny revealed the tragic news on a Slam Sports message board, posting, "I find it only fitting you hear the truth from me about the death of my best friend, brother, and soulmate. Chris died tonight due to a blood clot brought on by complications with his surgery. I just want to tell everyone that in their sorrow, find a way to be happy that he went out the way he wanted to." The soap opera Passions was around for a good time, not a long time. The show aired from 1999 to 2008, leaving its mark on a genre that's often known for wild and unpredictable storylines. But nothing before or since has compared to Passions, in which a witch named Tabitha turned a doll into a real boy named Timmy, played by Josh Ryan Evans. The role of Timmy turned Evans into a star, and his work as a younger version of Jim Carrey's Grinch in 2000's How the Grinch Stole Christmas sealed the deal. Before that, Evans made guest appearances in shows like Ally McBeal, Seventh Heaven, and Poltergeist: The Legacy.
If you're resigned to working in a crummy job, you should at least figure out where the so-called crummy job is going to get you.
But in 2002, Evans died of complications from a congenital heart condition. He was just 20 years old. Before his death, Evans had shared the fact that he'd undergone 3 heart surgeries and was considering leaving acting to work behind the scenes. In the 90s, no pro wrestler stood out quite like Scott Bam Bigelow. The Beast from the East boasted a bald head covered in tattoos and a mean-looking scowl, but he moved like a cruiserweight despite his imposing size. WWE fans may remember how Bigelow faced off against NFL legend Lawrence Taylor at WrestleMania 11 in 1995. The match received a lot of public attention at the time, and Bigelow deserves credit for making a non-wrestler like Taylor look decent in the squared circle.
You pain? I got something to say to you.
Outside the ring, Bigelow appeared in films like Major Payne and Joe's Apartment. Needless to say, he stood out whenever he showed up on screen. In 2007, Bigelow was found dead in his home. He was 45 years old. His death was ruled accidental, though multiple drugs were found in his system. Before his death, Bigelow claimed he was living off disability checks, telling the Times, "Being Bam Bigelow, it doesn't really get you anywhere." When most people think of Baywatch, their minds go right to Pamela Anderson or David Hasselhoff. Heck, they might even mention names like Yasmine Bleeth, Nicole Eckert, and Erica Eleniak. But you know who was always there, a constant as the cast around him changed multiple times? Michael Newman, who essentially played himself on the show from 1989 to 2000. Newman had been a lifeguard, so it was no big deal for him to run across the beach and dive into the ocean to save someone. He also worked as a firefighter, even while appearing on Baywatch. He worked his firefighting shifts around his shooting schedule and went right back to doing it full-time as soon as Baywatch ended. At the age of 50, Newman was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He told People, "I'm cherishing the days that I get to be on this earth with family and friends. I'm taking life seriously. It's not a run-through." In 2024, Newman died at the age of 67. Rodney Anoa'i, better known as Yokozuna, dominated the then WWF during the 90s, becoming world champion twice and defeating legendary performers including Bret Hitman Hart and Hulk Hogan. It was common to see Yokozuna squash opponents with his powerful bonsai drop finisher. He was surprisingly agile for a big man and managed to establish himself as a main event attraction in the world of sports entertainment. In the latter part of his career, the WWF tried to help Yokozuna lose weight, but he continued to gain, ultimately reaching a reported 700 pounds. According to the man himself, his daily diet consisted of 12 pieces of chicken, 240 eggs, and a bucket of rice. In 2000, Yokozuna died at the age of 34. The cause of his death was determined to be fluid in the lungs.
I will make my last wish. I wish for you to have a heart.
In the 80s, Jonathan Brandis was a child star, but he reached the height of his popularity in the 90s as a teen idol. Brandis played the younger version of Bill Denbrough in the 1990 It miniseries and appeared as Bastian Bucks in The Never-Ending Story 2, The Next Chapter.
Is there no one with the courage to stand up with me against the giants?
But his most famous role may have been Lucas Wolenzak in the sci-fi television series Sequest DSV. When Sequest ended, the parts stopped coming. Brandis worked here and there, but even though he was only in his 20s, his career was on the decline. He appeared in 2002's Heart's War, which starred Bruce Willis and Colin Farrell, but he was cut from the movie. It was a bitter disappointment. Brandis died by suicide in 2003. In 2021, Punky Brewster star Soleil Moon Frye paid tribute to Brandis, telling People, "I found so many voicemails Jonathan left me when we were kids. Some of them were 10 minutes long, his innermost thoughts. It just made me cry listening to them. He was a real friend."